Hey folks, this is Riker, and I've been pretty consumed these days by this game called To Kill a God. It is an action RPG roguelite that leans more on the ARPG side of things than these kind of games tend to do, and again, it's got me hooked. It's only got a demo out right now. It's coming out next year, and I just wanted to bring it to your attention. This video is part of a series where I've been exploring other games outside of like Diablo and Path of Exile to see what else is out there in the ARPG genre that people might not know about, or at least similar style games, so that we can kind of broaden our horizons and see what are these other games doing, what cool ideas do they have, what other games can we play between the big ARPG seasons. And you can find my video coverage of various ARPGs on my website, Riker.com. I've got a new other ARPG section that you can check out. And that takes us to a word from this video's sponsor, Squarespace. I built my website using Squarespace, did it all myself, quickly and easily, and with no education in the field, all thanks to how easy Squarespace is to work with. Squarespace offers a ton of pre-made, professionally designed website templates for any kind of website. It even has Blueprint AI, an AI-enhanced website builder to help you fully customize a beautiful-looking, personalized website made for your needs and your unique identity. Squarespace even has optimized SEO tools so that you can launch your website and start getting views as quickly as possible through search engine traffic, plus analytics to then see where your traffic's coming from. You can also sell products or services, with Squarespace providing everything you need to engage customers, from easy online payment methods to built-in tools for inventory shipping and fulfillment. That includes custom merch. You send in the designs and Squarespace handles everything else. Basically, if you want to build a website, I recommend Squarespace. So head to squarespace.com/Riker or click the link in the description to start your free trial and use code Riker to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain when you're ready to launch. That's squarespace.com/RHYKKER and use code Riker. So diving in to kill a god. You start off by making your character. You have two choices for now. Looks like they'll have 4 options when the game launches. But for now, in the free-to-play demo, you can try this game out for yourself, no cost, on Steam. You have basically your archer subtype and your melee character. I love range characters, and I had a better time on the range character. I was able to destroy all the content in the game pretty easily, and I really struggled on melee. I feel like they maybe got to give a bit more love to the melee character to make it on par with the ranged, but could just be I'm better at ranged characters in general. So once you're ready to start playing the game, that is when you are brought face to face with the map, which initially looks like a very Path of Exile style map. If you pay very close attention, there's actually like a legit map underneath it. I think in a previous version of the game, the map was more obvious. I have to super squint. I didn't realize it at first, but there's like a physical map behind this web. And so narratively, it's supposed to represent you traveling the world. In practice, there's no way to, they need to give like a slider or something where I can see the transparency. But anyway, you always start in the same location, and the layouts seem to have a mixture of randomization with some static nodes. I'm not sure if it's that all the paths are the same, and then all of the important nodes, the mastery passives, all of those are the same. But then there's like a lot of filler nodes. Most of the nodes, the filler nodes, are randomized. And what this map is it's effectively a map of the maps you're going to run. So every one of these nodes here represents a map that you're going to run, i.e. like a dungeon, an area where you're going to fight monsters. And you have to path your way along, therefore deciding where do I want to go to grab certain power-ups, because every map that you run is going to give you some bonus. It could be a passive point, it could be an active skill, it could be a skill enchantment, it could be some really powerful build-defining mastery passive nodes. There's even mini-bosses to challenge as well, lesser bosses. These will drop a special kind of item called a relic that you only get from fighting these mini-bosses. So as you are pathing through, you have a lot of choices to make, and your very first choice on a fresh character is between 4 starter skills. So this adds a lot of replay value when you are doing a run on a new character, whether it's because you're trying out the different class or because your current character died. You're gonna have a slightly different experience, and you'll have to adjust the choices that you make and adjust your run based on what rolls for you. Now, once you're in game, your gameplay loop is going to basically be going through maps, killing monsters. The monsters all come towards you. It's a little bit like a Bullet Heaven style game. You got your map with a pseudo-randomized layout, and monsters will spawn, will come at you as you progress deeper into the game. The types of monsters become more challenging, the number of monsters become greater, With gameplay progressing like typical roguelite gameplay, it's WASD, but then you have all of your skill options that are more similar to an ARPG. With all the monsters dead, you go on to the looting phase before you exit the map. So the monsters themselves drop gear and items, so there's a whole itemization aspect of the game, which is quite robust and I enjoy it quite a bit, as well as a bunch of crafting materials to go around the map and loot. At first I found it kind of annoying that I have to go around the map finding these crafting materials before leaving, but the deeper into the game you go, the more it's like, it's not really worth my time to go for these. So it's kind of leaving it up to you how much time you want to put into going around the map, collecting every single little collectible, which, in fairness, does feel very ARPG, right? When we play Diablo, yes, you can go and open every barrel and every chest, but as you become a more experienced player, you realize, this isn't really worth my time. Now, after every 5 maps you've run, you have to rest. And in order to rest, you have to select a node on your map to burn as a rest node. So I made the mistake once of burning a really important upgrade on rest because you do not get the benefit of it. It literally just burns it. You do not run it. You lose whatever that node had. So you want to be plotting a path where when you see that you're approaching a rest, okay, make sure I have some node somewhere that I can afford to burn on my rest. Because then you come back to town over here. This is where you can sell loot. You interact with a vendor. You can buy loot. Sometimes the vendor has some good loot for you. Sometimes you can't access it yet. It's like next level loot. Sometimes it even sells the uniques of this game. Outside of that, you have your potion vendor who can either refill your potions or heal you for a price. You have your skill enhancement fellow. You're going to be, throughout your journey, finding, let's call them skill gems, upgrades that you can imbue into your skills. Every skill could have up to 4 enchantments imbued into it. And you have an anvil where you can craft skills. So anytime you have learned a skill on a character, basically, anytime you have acquired a skill, you learn it and you permanently learn the recipe to that skill. So even if you die when you start over, you don't have to start with 0 skills. You can start by crafting yourself skills that you have already learned, provided you have the crafting materials for it, which is pretty much a non-issue because you're going to store your crafting materials in your chest because you have your stash, and this stash will be retained between all your characters and all your runs. So keep all your important stuff in there. I like to keep a stash of good items that I can equip a new character with, as well as, again, all my crafting materials and gold and all that. Once you're done in town, then you go back and repeat the cycle. Back to the map, pick your next nodes, and once you have run through, I think it's about 30 maps in total, you are going to fight the boss. Basically, every time you rest, the boss gets 1 step closer, and after 5 or 6 rests, the boss spawns, you fight him, and then the demo ends. Now, looking at your character sheet here, we have strength, dex, intelligence. They keep it real simple. I actually like it. Vitality is often, like when you have a dedicated health stat, it's just like a dummy choice between do I want more damage, do I want more sustain. Here, strength gives you life and attack damage. Dex gives you attack speed and crit chance. Intelligence gives you mana and spell damage. Very simple, very elegant, and it works for this game. You can have different archetypes. You might want to mix and match attributes. Gear has level and attribute requirements, so I often found myself bumping a stat simply for purposes of equipping gear that I find. Gear comes in different rarities. You have normal, you have rare, you have legendary, and then you have this game's version of unique items, which is exotic. So unique, exotic, as in it has a specific name, right? Like the Sword, the Burning Regret. It does a very specific thing, and these are not best in slot. They're kind of like PoE style uniques in that you could build around them and it'll be useful for a specific build, but just because you find a unique does not mean you're going to want to equip it, and you can also out-level it. That said, pretty much every build I ran had at least 1 unique or exotic in the build. Now, a rare magic item can have up to 3 affixes on it, and a legendary can have up to 6 affixes on it. Now you're going to find a bunch of currencies similar to Path of Exile, and some of these currencies are going to allow you to craft on your items in different ways. So you can add modifiers, you can transform a normal into a rare into a legendary, you can randomly reroll modifiers, you can randomly remove a modifier, so there's quite a bit of crafting and customization there with the gear that you find. Now you can also craft on and enchant your skills. So you're going to get special skill gems, basically. And these skill gems will do different things depending on which gem you get. They'll have requirements of what kind of skill they're going to apply to. So some, for instance, might reduce the mana cost of the skill, reduce the cooldown. And oftentimes there's some kind of a trade-off. So it's often not just a strict upgrade all around. It might come at the cost of, oh, now your skill costs more mana, or I'm getting more attack speed at the cost of crit chance, or I'm getting more crit damage at the cost of crit chance. Things like that. Some of my favorites are when your projectiles can have more projectile splits, so it gives you additional projectiles, but it makes your individual projectiles deal less damage. I turned this into a true bullet heaven game where I was spraying projectiles all over the place to the point that I was making the game lag. But one of your starter skills is your warrior jump, which is your default spacebar. It's just a dash, but that is another skill, and you can imbue up to 4 skill gems into it, 4 enchantments. So one enchantment that I love to put here is the 50% cooldown reduction, so that I can now be dodging or dashing across the screen a lot more often, helping with my mobility to get out of nasty enemy effects. Then every time you die, or if you were to make a new character, there is one additional part of the gameplay loop, and that is the long-term meta progression, where you can spend a very rare resource to give yourself like a buff to move speed across your character, to give yourself better drop rates, to give yourself more life, to give yourself more benefit from strength, dex, and intelligence. So the long-term progression is really a mixture of that. It's those permanent upgrades, but also whatever you're able to carry forward in your stash, i.e. all of your gold, all of your crafting materials, items, as well as all the skills that you learn. So that every time you start a new character, it ought to be able to be more powerful than the one before, through a mixture of that permanent progression, as well as being able to craft skills right off the bat, upgrade your gear right away, right? Take your starter gear and slam it right away into a legendary. Now, unlike other roguelites, I actually found myself dying very seldomly in this game, so that's why it feels a bit more ARPG to me, in that I could go like 2 hours without dying, or at least an hour without dying. So you really get a good, long, satisfying run. And then, yes, you do have to start over from level 1 after you die, but because of all the stuff that you're able to save, your skills, your gear, and all this, you're starting with a huge leg up. It's almost like in a Diablo season, making an alt character, right? You're able to make your second character and boost them up so much faster because you have all the crafting materials, you have all the hand-me-down gear, and I've just found this gameplay loop very fun, very addicting. I do have to warn, this game is a demo and it is jank. There are, I mean, overall it plays well enough, but I've encountered a number of bugs. Some things are just broken. Sometimes I stop dealing any kind of damage. There's like weird duping bugs that happen all the time. There's a lot of stuff that kind of stops working randomly, but again, I've been actually really loving this game and getting addicted to it. I see a lot of promise here. Free to play demo, folks, free to try. It's a game that I'm definitely going to wishlist on Steam. It's planned to release next year. I hope they're able to squash all the bugs. Before then, my understanding is they're actually planning to release first this year, this winter, but they're pushing back the launch. They just recently made a big update in November, and looking at the old screenshots, yeah, the game's looking a lot better. So that wraps up this video, folks. To Kill a God, give it a try. Thanks for watching. Special thanks to my Patreon supporters for making these videos possible. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to join Riker's Raiders for more ARPG content.